Hi, this is Dave and welcome to the Table, a series of videos where I review and discuss various board and card games, looking at them from a family perspective. And today we're going to be taking a look at Redacted from Luda Creations. And what this is a spy game for 2 to 6 players in which you take on the role of an agent trying to execute various missions. The game comes with a number of different missions for different numbers of players, but the main focus of this is a social interaction and deduction game filled with bluffing and a double blind interaction mechanism that creates tension throughout the whole game. Let's take a look at this, a little bit of how it's played, and I'll come back and I'll give you my thoughts.
Okay, here I have Redacted set up for the intro mission, which is called the 2-man rule, and it's for 4 players, and it's going to be divided up into 2 teams, Team Red and Team Blue. And 2 players will be playing on each team. Each player will be given their own identity, but they will not know the identity of the other player, so they won't even know who their teammate is. So for example, here, player number 1, which is the white, is on Team Red, which would be the Chinese for this particular mission. So we've done that. So each player is going to receive their identity. They're also going to receive a certain type of cards here, which they have one here, which is these are going to be used for interactions. So we have one, this is going to be like neutral, you just pass each other by. You have one where you're friendly, where you're going to shake hands with each other, and you have 3 different attack cards that you can use. We have brass knuckles, we have a knife, and we have a garrote. And the way that these work are going to be in combat, and they're resolved like rock, paper, scissors, as noted here by the symbology that are on the card. So each player is going to receive these 5 cards here. And each player for this particular mission is going to receive 1 object. So this one happens to have a first aid kit here, which will be useful in the future. Each of the other players are going to receive the same type of interaction cards, and they will also have an object from the object deck. Players are also going to have a tile in front of them that will explain what all the rooms do, and an explanation of the different types of symbols and the actions that are on there. And they will receive a player pawn here. Now, in this particular mission, this is a training mission to give an overview of how the game works. A lot of the rooms are going to be considered empty, even though you may see things on the board here. And so in the 2-man rule, each of the players are taking on the role of trainee agents. And so this is a training center set to look like the embassy in which the game Redacted takes place in. And once you place the boards down, they're always going to be in the same order here. We have the basement, we have the main floor, and then we have the terrace. And there are 3 different tiles, so it stores more compactly in the game box itself. But they don't change orientation by being spun around or anything. There is a specific orientation to them. So here's a stairwell here that links to the stairs over here down in the basement, as well as the stairs upstairs. So that's this particular game board here. And the mission is Team Red is trying to escape the embassy. And the way that they need to do that is somebody's got to be hanging around over in the security HQ office, whether it's your teammate or somebody that's not on your team. And if you're on Team Red, you need to have the other player sneak down here into this computer room and upload a virus in an attempt to disable the security system so they can escape. Team Blue, very, very similar. Players got to be up in the HQ. The other one needs to run down here and upload essentially a rescue disk in here to fortify the security systems to prevent the Team Red from escaping. So that is the premise of how the game is set up here and what the mission of this game is. For this particular mission, I just want to go over the map a little bit closer so that I can show you which rooms are going to be considered active or have their abilities, and the rest of them are going to be considered empty. So if we look down here in the basement, you'll see a lot of different symbols, and they do different things depending upon the different missions. For example, down here you can turn the power off in the building and everything goes dark, and that's going to affect how players interact. And you need to have night vision goggles and different things like that. And then you have but the one room that is going to be active in the basement down here is the storage room here. And if we go down there, we will be able to pick up items that we're going to need to complete our mission. So that room is going to be active in the basement. There is on the main floor going to be 2 rooms that are going to be active. They're going to be the ballroom here in the center and the infirmary here. And the infirmary will be really good. In case we get injured, we can go and heal ourselves. This ballroom, there's a reception that can go on and cause a big diversion, and so it could prove to be useful because it will make the room a safe room. And then finally up on the upper terrace here, the rooms that are going to be active there is another storage room up here. There is an X-ray room here, and we have an armory here. So the X-ray room, if you are in there, you will be able to scan people as they pass by a room that is equipped with sensors. So if you see here on this room, this door that has an X, that room is equipped with scanning sensors. And so whoever passes through there, you'll be able to look at their items and see what they are carrying. So you will know what they have. And so, and then the armory you'll be able to get weapons from too, additional weapons that you'll be able to carry around with you. So those are specific things for this particular mission. Okay, as we play the game here, the white player is going to be first, and what they're going to do is they will start here at the entryway of the embassy, and they will be able to move around and activate a specific room if they choose. They can move to any room in the embassy as long as they can trace a path of movement that does not go through any locked doors unless they have a key, or they don't go. They can. They're not going to have an interaction with another player that is going to result in combat. So early on in the game, nobody knows who anybody is, so everybody's going to be on pins and needles. There's going to be a lot of tension. But this particular player, he's going to come in and he's going to go down the stairs, go through this room over here, and they're going to go into the storage room. And as a result, they will be able to draw a card from the item deck. So we'll draw this over here, and we happen to draw a key, which will allow us to go through locked doors. This is going to be hidden and placed with our items here in our hand, and so we have a limit of 3 items that we can hold on to. So right now we have a first aid kit and we have a key. So this is going to be a couple of good things that we have going on here, and that's going to be the end of my turn. Now what's going to happen is the next player is going to go, and so I'm just using this gray token here to represent who the active player is. So we move this over here, keep track of whose turn it is. And the purple player now is going to come in the entryway as well, and they can move around here and do different things. They can go through any room as long as it's not a locked door. Maybe they're going to go up here to the upstairs. They walk through this particular room here. No, they'll go through this room here, up, over, and into this storage room over here to grab an item. So let's see what they grab. They also grabbed a key. So, and just for the sake of this game here, let me show you what the identity of this person is. This one is Team Blue. The player 1 was Team Red. And the items now that they're carrying, they actually have the virus disc and they have a key. So, this is going to be one thing that this player is going to want to do, is be really reluctant on trading items with other players or being scanned, because people will be able to find out what they're carrying. And so, and that's going to happen as results of player interactions and certain room interactions. So, so right away you can feel there's some tension that's kind of mounting. You're starting to see what people have in the particular game. Next player, the green player, is going to move in. And what they're going to do is maybe they're going to go up the stairs here, and they're going to go into this armory over here, which is another room that is active. And going in the armory, they're going to draw 2 weapons off the weapon deck. They're going to choose one, and they're going to add it to their pile of cards. And so if we look here again, this is a rock, paper, scissors type thing. Well, the knife is stronger than a Garrett, so we're going to draw that, and we'll put it in their cards. And the other one gets shuffled back into this deck, but I'll just stick it on the bottom for now. So right now, just from the observation, we can see that this particular player potentially has a one-up over everyone else because they happen to have they have an extra weapon. They happen to be Team Red, and their item that they're holding on to, they also have a first aid kit. So looks like right now the red players have they've got the ability to heal each other, but they don't know who they are. And finally, the fourth player's turn. We'll just move this. It's been moving around. Gray player comes in, and right now, one of the things that they may want to do is they're going to go up here and move up these stairs, and they're going to stay in this x-ray room right here. And what this is going to do is anybody that passes by there, they're going to be able to scan them to see what items they're carrying. So now anybody that passes through any kind of doorway that has an X on it, that's going to cause some trouble. So now we have the back to the white player's turn, and you can't stay in the same room. You can choose to maybe activate, move into another room and activate an item that you have. So let's see what we're going to do here. We will, and if we use a key, we can pass through any locked doors that we want to on our turn. So, but unfortunately here, I could do this to go through this room and avoid being scanned. But let's say, for example, the white player goes through and is going to be scanned. So what's going to happen is that the item cards that they're carrying are going to be turned over to the gray player to look at. So the gray player is going to look and see what they have, give them the cards back. Okay, so now the gray player has the added intelligence of what this white player is carrying. So they know right now that the white player does not have a disc. And so they can continue to move their room, go up to here, and maybe they're going to go all the way up to the upstairs, and they're going to go into this room as well, and they're going to cause an interaction. So now we have two players that are in this room here, the x-ray room, and it's going to cause an interaction. So what's going to happen now between the white player and the gray player is they are going to secretly choose cards from their hand. They're either going to play a friendly card, which they can attempt to essentially get by with each other or maybe give items to each other, a neutral card, or they can choose to attack each other. So each player is going to secretly choose a card. I'm just going to randomly just choose a card and see what happens here, and I'll do the same thing for the other player. So I'm just going to pick this one here, and the other one over here, I'm going to just shuffle up the cards and just kind of pick one and see what we have in terms of interactions. So the two players are going to exchange the cards with one another, and they're going to reveal them. So the white player played a friendly, and the other one played a neutral. And so what happens here with a friendly and neutral thing is the player showing the friendly card, I can do one of the things. I can give an item, or I can play a first aid kit. So I'm going to choose not to, but we see that there's no conflict. And so all you got to do is just, the cards go back, they just say no conflict, and this player can continue to move on about their business. So maybe they're just going to choose to go into this room here to stop and wait and see what's going to happen. They have themselves in a position where somebody's going to move and they're going to have to interact with them again. So back to the purple player, and what they're going to choose to do is leave this room here. The gray player, again, is going to scan them, and they're going to see what they have. And they see, oh, they have a key and they have the red disc. And this guy here was kind of in a bind. He had no choice but to move out of there. He didn't have a key to go anywhere else. And so here we are now in this hallway, and he's going to move down here, and now we're going to have an interaction again with the white player. So let's say, for example, here the two of them are going to, again, have an interaction. I'm going to have something, just randomly choosing a card here. We're going to play one face down here. This one's they're going to be shuffled up, played face down. The cards are going to be exchanged, and we're going to look at here. This one the white player played a neutral, and the the purple player played an attack card. So when you do this, now the attack versus neutral, the player playing the attack automatically defeats the player. And so the purple player wins. And what they do now is this card, they have to put in a face down discard pile. And this neutral card goes back here. So, and they will announce that there was a defeat. And so now the purple player has 3 different options what they can do. They can injure the white player, they can steal from them, they can interrogate if they want to. So those are the things that they can choose to do, or they can choose not to not to take any reward. So what's going to happen here is that this purple player, maybe they want to know who they are. They're going to interrogate the white player. So what's going to happen now is the white player is going to take one of these attack cards that they have in their hand. So let's say they'll take this one here. They're going to take their neutral card, and they're going to take their identity, and they're going to shuffle these all up. The other player is that they're going to hand them to the other player. The other player is going to shuffle them up, take a look at the card, shuffle them all up, and give them back to to the player here. And so, and then we will shuffle them up and put the identity back down and everything else. And so we don't know what information the other player had gathered up, but what was going to happen. They could interrogate them. If they choose to injure them, they would knock this player down, and so now the injured player can only move 2 spaces per turn, unless they choose to use an item on themselves like a first aid kit to stand back up. Otherwise, they have to make their way down to the infirmary. And the other thing that they could do is they can choose to steal from that player. They would just randomly choose an item and take it. So that would be a combat interaction there. If both players had played combat, then it's going to be resolved in a rock, paper, scissors. And whoever the active player is, then if the combat works if you end up tying, what's going to happen is you're going to have to sneak out into another room. So here you could choose to move back into this room, or if they choose to move into this room, they're going into a space with another player. Now there's another option called knocking out. The gray player has the option to knock that player out when they're coming through, or allow them to pass through to the next available empty room. They knock them out. They essentially, the player they're going to be knocked over, and then that player can also choose to steal, interrogate, or injure them. So if you can run into like a bunch of conflict here when there's a lot of players next to each other. So you have this interaction. Like I said, if there was combat, you compare the weapons, and it's going to be like a rock, paper, scissors type thing. So we've kind of gone over a lot of the rooms that have been active for this particular mission. The last one is if a player were to move down the stairs and they were to make their way to the ballroom here, and they activate this, what's going to happen is it's going to cause the start of a reception, and what's going to happen is all the players are going to be called down to this room here. So everybody's going to make their way down here. Because there's going to be a toast going on, so they have to go there. And this is a one-time thing. We put the reception token in the room, and from now on, this particular room is considered a safe room where no interactions may happen. So if you're passing through here, it's as if you didn't see each other because there's a party that's going on. But this essentially draws everybody back to this particular room. Now, over the course of the game here, we're going to try to get particular items. You can maybe, on an interaction of being a friendly versus friendly, you can choose to trade items with one another. And interrogating people, there is ways to find out who each other's players' identities are. And if you can do that through the course of actions on the board and table talk, you'll be able to decipher who your teammates are. Now, if we look at this, we look at the 4th player over here, and I just wanted to kind of show you one bit of information. Is he happens to have this blue floppy disk here, and he's also on Team Blue, so he holds the key to winning this particular game. He's going to be careful with his actions. But let's say, for example, that these players knew what was going on, especially if they're team players. This this purple player here, let's say that they decide to move out here, go up on the upstairs floor, and they go to choose to hang out in this room. They're not taking an action. Maybe they can use an item, but they're going to wait there. The green player has the option of thinking maybe something is up here and could choose to go in there after them, but maybe not. Maybe they're going to choose to go into the upstairs room and get another weapon, and they're going to do the same action. But seeing what's going on here, there's a player here, and it doesn't matter what faction they're in this particular room. On the gray player's turn, he's going to move down into this particular room, make their way into the computer room here, and enact that. And what would happen is they would reveal this particular disc, and they would win the game. And so this is an overview of how Redacted plays. Each mission is going to play different. There's going to have certain rooms that are going to have more abilities that are going to be activated, but this is a very basic game. But there's just wanted to give you an overview of the interaction, the tension that's created between players, and this whole not knowing who has what information, and that's what makes up Redacted.
All right, Redacted, and wow, wow, wow. What a game that completely took me by surprise, and something that I liked, because I didn't really have a lot of information on this game beforehand, and I read the rules. I'm like, okay, it's just a spy game, but reading the rules and playing the game are two completely different experiences, because the game comes alive when you take it off of the paper. And so let me talk about this one. First of all, in the rules, they recommend that you do the introductory mission when you're getting to know the game before attempting to take on some of the other ones. So that's why I chose to show you this particular mission and how it works. First, to give you a brief overview of Redacted and some of the game mechanisms that are in there that make it up. And so I know that I expedited a few things, but I did show you a little bit of how some of the rooms work, different things that happen. You've got the player interaction. That's what makes up this particular game. So looking at the gameplay experience itself, you have so much hidden information. You're playing on teams in certain games here, and you know what? You don't even know who's on your side. You're that deep undercover, and everybody else is playing the same way, that nobody knows who you are, except that you're a player in the game, that you're walking around this embassy. And that's the only information that the other players have to start off with. And they know what they have. They have one item that's with them, depending upon the mission. This particular one, we had one item. That's what you have to start off with, and there's so much unknown. And right from the very start of the game, you have this, I'm going to call it the haze of espionage, that has been cast over this entire game, because you don't know who anybody is. And then you start playing the game, and you're taking actions and doing certain things, and everything that you do, other players, if they're smart in playing this game, they're watching what you're doing, looking at the actions that you're taking, and trying to decipher what exactly is going on. And then you start having this table talk information. You're talking one back and forth, and you start looking to see, are people dropping hints, or are they just kind of playing a specific way? But you're going to have this bantering that's going back and forth. You're going to be bluffing and not telling the, you're going to be bluffing. You could be telling the truth. Maybe you're not. You could be lying, all in an attempt to be successful at carrying out your mission. Now, one of the things that really, really, really stands out for me in this game, and this is what makes this game shine, is this whole double-blind interaction that creates this awesome haze. And that's the exchange of cards being face down, and things that you're using, everything is face down. There is this information where you don't know what's going on, and it's especially apparent when it comes into certain actions like interrogations, and then also the hacking that can take place. And there's a computer room here in one of the other missions. There's a computer room, and what it is when there's a player who's carrying out those actions, that they're going to have cards that they're going to be looking at in an attempt to figure out your identity. They're shuffled up, looked at, shuffled up, and handed back to you, and you don't know what they saw. So thematically, you don't really know if your character cracked under interrogation or not, what they found out. But As a result, you're going to have to pay attention now. Okay, that guy interrogated me. What does he know? And you're going to have to pay attention to future interactions of what's going on. And are you going to be risking at the cost of being hurt or having something happen to you, things stolen from you, to be able to extend that friendly handshake to that other player? Trying to figure out if he's friend or foe. Tremendous amount of deduction that's going to happen, and there's risk taking in this game, and all of this under the guise of not knowing what's going on, and other players there don't know either. And so there's this whole scrambling for information and trying to figure things out that creates this thick tension for the game that makes it so enjoyable. I just really enjoy that. And again, you're looking at this information that's being being presented, but you're not as a part of it. So everything is all like, well, what did he figure out? What did he figure out? What did he play? Especially like during combat, the players on the outside of this interaction, they don't know what's going on. They just know the outcome, and so it doesn't become apparent what cards that they played, and so it's really hard, I guess if you want to call it, like on paper, to read what they're doing. The only thing that you're going to eventually figure out is if they use an item, because they reveal the item that they played and then it becomes discarded. And so if somebody goes through a room that they used a key, if they fired off a gun, that that they've done that. In other missions, there's other things that are going to become apparent. If somebody goes and shuts the lights off in the building and all of a sudden somebody's moving around and doing things, well, guess what? They got night vision goggles, but you don't know that until they show up and use them. So there's a tremendous amount of tension that's created in this game, and it makes an awesome gaming experience. The cool thing with this game is that there's a number of different missions that can be played in here, and on varying numbers of players. And so, this introductory mission, which is what they recommend starting off with to learn the game, that's what I presented here. But then you go on to this classic mission where there's a briefcase and you have to have intelligence and you have to escape in a helicopter. And so it's like James Bond all over. And you can use bombs to blow up your enemies' helicopters. And so it's really cool that you can do that. There's other stuff where you're competing and there's guards that are in there and you're trying to do you're interacting with these guards. And there's another mission with a player who's playing as an agent of Interpol. And so you've got all these different things that thematically fit in this spy game. And so definitely have that. But this game here, you have all this stuff that's going on, and you're going to have so much replayability with it because of you don't know what role you're going to be taking. Like, for example, here I was on Team Red, so you're playing for the Chinese, okay? And but next time I may not be playing with that same one. I may be playing with different people. We all are going to have different items. We don't know what's going on, and so it's not going to provide for the same gameplay because you really never know until the mission's completed truly what everybody was up to. And so that's going to lend to this game seeing a lot of time being brought back to the table, and the fact that this game plays in about an hour. You're going to be able to, this is not going to take up a whole bunch of time, and it's not a filler game, but it's something that's still going to provide this stimulating experience for that time that you have together. Now, looking at this game from a family perspective, this is definitely something that is going to fall right into being able to be played in a family setting, as well as being able to extend out to your friends as well. If you're playing this strictly, if you're a family unit playing this, if you're mom or dad watching this one, and you have teenage kids, this is something that you can play together. And depending upon how many you can get to play, this plays anywhere from 2 players up to 6 different missions that you can do different things in there. So, but this is going to be a game that is going to give an exercise to that mind and really get them thinking, because it's not only looking at the board at what's going on there, but it's looking at the body language that the players are presenting around them, listening to the verbal interaction that's going on, and then also seeing and absorbing more information through card interaction, whether it's through combat, or it's going to be just through interrogations, through through hacking, through scanning. So there's lots of different things where you're going to be looking at cards, absorbing information. So you're using a lot of your senses to gather and process information. So it's really going to get your mind working, but it doesn't feel like a task. It's like you're on a mission. And so you're going to get that. If you're playing this as adults and you want to have your friends come over for an interesting evening of getting together, this is something that you can play. And it's something that you can teach a non-gaming person to play, because it really is not that confusing as the things that you can do. It's the processing of information that makes it challenging, not confusing. And if it's somebody that's a newer player, then you just play the introductory mission, and you're going to keep a lot of confusion from potentially creeping in, because you only have certain rooms that are going to be active to do certain things, and everything else you just consider it an empty room. And then, as you're playing more and more, you can advance and play different missions and do different things. So this is something that, as a repeat event that you can share with your friends. A family can really, use it as hosting a game night. And so those are the things that really lend to this game. Like from a family perspective, family can get involved with this one here. It's exercise in the mind and an exercise of being able to gather and process information. So overall, this is something that I really, really, really enjoy. Like I said, I was really surprised by it. For me, if I'm playing with 4 to 6 players, I'm picking this one over Resistance. This is going to replace that game for me in terms of playing a deduction game. Sure, that one plays quicker, but this one plays so much better. There's a lot more that's going on. Missions are clear-cut, opposed to playing Resistance. Like, well, what's the mission? Well, it's just a mission. There's really no depth other than you just know that it's a mission. You want to get people that's on there. This one here, you know what the mission is, but the challenge is finding out who's on your side and being able to complete it. So I'm just going to give it much more, and to me, I'd rather play this one. So again, high praises for Redacted. Such a surprise for me. This is really, really awesome game that provides for an awesome experience in playing it. So that's this one. It's again, this is done by Luda Creations, and this is going to be distributed by Passport Game Studios here in the U.S. The designers for this, I'm just going to hold them up to the screen here, and I'll hold it there because I am not very good at pronouncing a lot of those names, but wanted you to see who the team was that created this game. All right, thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this, check out my other videos that I have created as well. If you'd like to, you can click on the subscribe button below, and you can keep up to date with all of my other efforts and content that I am creating. Also, there's more information in the video description below if you're interested in following me on Twitter, or if you're interested in supporting the To the Table project, there's information there as well. All right, that's it for now, and join me again next time as we take a look at another game and we see how it makes it to the table. Bye-bye.